Welcome to lecture 14 of the amazing power of Gematria. This lecture will be on the topic of water, and it's based on a book which I wrote a few years ago called The Mystery of Water. This is in fact written probably around about 8 years ago. It was done before I had discovered the use of the normal inner values, or the inner normal values. So it's based on 3 of the systems that I use: the placement value, the large value, and the normal value. Perhaps if I was to write this again, it would be somewhat bigger. The inspiration of this book was this book, which is by Masaru Emoto. Masaru Emoto did experiments on water. He took jars of water and put words on them, sometimes in Japanese and sometimes in English, and sometimes just diagrams. He would also do it by playing music to water. He would do it using, for example, this one's got blasphemy in English in it, and the crystal is really kind of horrible. He would do it with prayer as well. He would take water from different rivers and do prayers with it, or have people to pray by the river, and that would change the crystalline structure of the water. He would freeze it to a certain temperature, and they would display crystals. And the crystals are all based, when they come out nice, on the hexagon, or the Star of David, the 6-pointed star. In fact, there is one in here where he actually has the Star of David on it as a picture, and you can see it actually gives a crystal of the Star of David. I thought that's quite incredible, that research, and this book is called Love Thyself, and it's called Love Thyself because if our thoughts can affect water, the crystalline structure of water, then our thoughts can affect other people and ourselves. What we say to other people, even think about other people, because thoughts are more than just something in your brain, that can affect them, and it can affect yourself. So negative thoughts affect your crystalline structure, the water within you. So when I saw this book, I thought, this is interesting. Let's see if I can see if there is a connection with the Star of David, the 6-pointed star, and water. So I'm going to show a little bit of that today, and hopefully it's going to be understandable, because it is quite deep. I will not go into the complexity that this book goes into. This book goes into different levels of the water structure, which I'll just mention later on. So I'm going to start off actually with some interesting things about water, because water comes in the Torah, in the 5 books of Moses, and we find that Moses hits a rock and turns that rock into water. There is a psalm, which is, I'm just going to quote it to you, and it goes, I've written the page down but I can't read it. Yes, it goes like this. Psalm 114. Tremble, you earth, at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the God of Jacob, who turned the rock into a pool of water, the flint into a fountain of waters. So I showed you on a previous lecture, that I took the staff of Moses, excuse me, the matter, and I showed you how the matter is connected to serpent. So that was a transformation. So can we do the same thing here? Can we take the rock or the flintstone and transform that into water? So these are a few of the ways we can do it. The word flintstone, I mean, flint is the source of fire. You take flint and you hit 2 flintstones together and you create a spark. And flint in Hebrew is chalamish. Chalamish. That's the Hebrew used in the psalm. Chalamish has a placement value of 64, because that's the 8th letter, that's the 12th, that's the 13th, the 10th, and 21st. And if you add those together, you get 64. You have to know the Hebrew alphabet. You can get it online. I showed you a chart in a previous lecture. And that comes into a spring of water. And the Hebrew for spring of water is Mayan. Okay, Mayan. And now we're going to use the alternative values, because the final letters, when they come at the end of the alphabet, can take an alternative value. And the final nun is 24, and the yud is 10, ayin is 16, mem is 13. If I add those together, again I will get 25, not 24. That's the final mem. Final nun is 25. 25th letter, 10, 16 and 13, and that will give you 64 again. So we've got within Hebrew the Chalamish transforming into a Mayan of water, which is 64. Another one, we take Mayan and we find the placement value where the final nun is the value of the nun, which is the 14th letter, so that becomes 14, 10, 16 and 13, and now I've got a value of 53. That's the placement value. That's the alternative placement value. So if I now take the word stone, in Hebrew, word stone and rock are basically the same Hebrew word. Stone, rock is the word even. Right? Even. Now I'm going to take the normal value of that, because the normal value for nun is 50, and beta is 2, and aleph is 1, and I get the normal values to being 53. So using normal values, we have a connection again with the word Mayan. That's not the word used actually for it in the Torah, which is the word sur. Now, flintstone. Now we'll look at some English. Flintstone. I haven't yet discussed why English is so special, but we're going to leave that for another occasion. Flintstone, I'm going to use the large values. Remember, the large value is F is the 6th letter, and the word 6 is 52. L is the 12th letter, and the word 12 is 87. That's how I get the large values. Now, if I do that all the way along, that's flint. Stone is 86, 107, 65, 104, and 42. If I add all that together, flintstone gives me a large value of 796 LV. Now I take water. Now water, we're going to use the normal value. The normal value, W is 500. The normal value, again, to remind you, is like the decimal value. You get up to J, it's 10. A, B, C, D is 1 to 10. J is 10. And K, instead of calling it 11, we call it 20. K, L is 30, M is 40, etc. And then you get to S, which is 100, T is 200, V is U is 300, V is 400, and W is 500. So if I do that for all these, I get 5 and 90. I'll get 796. So this is the normal value. And so I transformed a flintstone, 796, from the large value into water in the normal value, 796. And we haven't finished there. We'll rub this one off. So we have another one. The Psalm says that the stone into a pool. He turned the stone into a pool of water. Let me just read it again. He says, "Tremble, you earth," etc., who turned the rock into a pool of water. Agam Maim it is in Hebrew. Pool of water. And that in Hebrew is Agamaim. Agam is like a pool. mayim is water. So agam mayim, we're going to use the placement value. Mem is 13th, Yud is the 10th, Mem is the 13th, that's 36. And agam is 13th letter, third letter, and the first letter, which is 13, 16, 17. And I've got there again 40, 53, which is the same number as Mayan, which is the same as Evan. So we've got we've got a connection with agam. Again, this is the placement value, not the alternative placement value. We've got two final letters there, so I wouldn't use just one of them, because one of them means I'll add another 11. That would bring me to 64. But I've got two, so I really would have to add 22 to make it into the alternative placement value. We'll leave that. Now the word rock in English, so you can see that all these connections are showing that something can be transformed from one type of thing into another, whether it is the I haven't showed you about blood and water. Moses changes the water into blood. Maybe another occasion. But here he changes a rock into water. This is a transformation using gematria, showing how the energy, the essence of that substance, can be transformed because of its numerical value. Because the numerical value is its energy essence, its vibrational essence. And that is what's so important about gematria, because we're not looking at the externality of something, we're looking at its very inner creative element. So I'm not going to give you the magic how that's done. I'd be going around changing rocks into water if I could do that. But I believe that this whole thing of gematria is a part in the story. So the word rock has a placement value of 47. And mayim, which we had before, but now we're going to use, I'm going to script writing, I'll stick to the block mayim. Again, mem is 13, yud is 10, and now I'm going to take the final mem to be 24, because that's a final letter, and when at the end is the 24th letter, and I've got 47. So I have another, this alternative placement value, I have another way of transforming a rock into water. So, and we've got one more I've got here for you. Okay, we'll do this one. Rock. So if you can't do it one way, you do it another way. This we'll look at the normal value. That's 90, 60 is the decimal values, 3 and 20. That will give me 173. And I'm going to add that to the placement value which I've got here. No, up here. Right, add that together, I get 10, 12 and 2, 220. Now I've added the normal value and I've added the placement value, and I give that the term total value. That's just historic. That's because when I discovered it, I'd already called the placement value and the large value the whole value, and so when I got the placement value and the normal value together, I called it the total value. Now the word pool, which is usually a pool of water, has a normal value of 70 plus 60 plus 60 plus 30. And that will give me 130, 190, 220. And that's the normal value. So you can see all these interrelationships. Doesn't matter whether they are different gematria systems used. I say no. I say that although there are different gematria systems, and you can have them all different ways you like, they are still energies. It doesn't really matter. If you take vectors or forces and you add them together, you add them together to make a new force. And it doesn't matter how big that force is. And energy, it's the same thing. If I say, what is the total energy in the room that I'm standing in here? Well, I'll have to work out what the energy of my body is. It's heat that's given off. I'll have to look at the energy of all the different light bulbs here and all the heat that's coming from the radiator, which is not working, but anyway, and all the energy from any sound that's in the room. So the total energy will give you a total energy, and that we know in science that you can convert one form of energy into another form of energy. So, and I think I mentioned this before, that you can add different energies together. So that's what's going on here. Okay, so far that's the close of that particular subject of transformation of the rock into water. I'm going to look at now at another item. I said I was going to explain to you why the Star of David, the six-pointed star, is connected to water. So we're going to start off with the very second verse in the Torah, which says that the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters. And in Hebrew, the Spirit of God, I'm going to write here, Spirit of God, G dash D I'm writing at the moment, okay, is in Hebrew, Ruach Elohim, which I'm going to write like this, because I don't really want to write it out as it's properly. I'll put a hyphen there. So this has a normal value, 214 at 6 and 8, which is 214. And this has a normal value, taking the mem as a normal mem, the final mem, of 86. And that gives me a normal value of 300. Okay? Now we take the word star, and the word star has a large value of 300. That's a large value. That would be 86, that would be 107, 34, and 73. Remember, that's 19. 19 is 86, T is 20, which is 107, etc. So we get a connection between the Spirit of God and a star. And I'm going to look at a particular star. We'll look at the Magen David as it is as a magic star. So I saw this in a book in a school once, and I thought this was very interesting. This is really the connection that I brought to this Masaru Emoto's book on water crystals. If we join up like this, so we've got actually all equilateral triangles, supposed to be, okay? And we're going to put the numbers from 1 to 13. There are 13 points here. If I see with interconnections, there's 13 interconnections, okay? And they go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4 goes here, and this is a 6. And we've got 9 and 7 here, 10 here. We've got 5 and 8 here, and we've got 13 here. 5 and 8, 58, is the placement value for star. That's the PV. Star equals 58. Okay? It's got some interesting numbers in it, sort of combinations here, but we'll leave that. What we are going to be interested in is actually the lines. What do they add up to? Oh, I missed out to. Hold on. We've got to have 11 here and 12 here. There we are. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So if I add across here, I'll get 5 and 8 is 13, and 13 is 26. If I add down, I'll get 13, 16, and 10 is 26. If I add any of the lines, I will get 26. For example, 6 and 9 is 15, 7 is 22, and 4 is 26. Any way I go, I'll do this way, 14, 22, 26. It doesn't matter which way I go, I can go up this way. 10 and 9 is 19, plus 7 is 26. Every way is 26. And if I add the vertices of the Star of David, I'm not going to go into why it's called Star of David at the moment, we'll get 26 as well. So what's the question? The question is, what is 26? And the number 26 is actually, we've had before, is G-D, G-O-D, God, which is 26, and it's also the Hebrew name of the tetragrammaton, or the tetragram, which is, excuse me, the letters Yud, Hey, Vov, Hey, and that will also give you 26. Yud is 10, Hey is 5, 6, and 5 is 26. So I call this the God triangle, the God star, and it's one of the magic stars. There's many magic stars, but if I write down magic star, that was 58, and the word magic is 33, and the placement value gives me 91. 33, you might rings a bell about the 33 degrees in the Masonic order up to the highest level, though they say there's even more. I'm not a Freemason, so but people think I am because I can do all these gematras and things. But I just research. I do not belong to any association, neither Illuminati or Masonic or anything like that. I'm quite freelance, let's say. So 91, if you take the word spirit and you find this is using placement value, and if I find the placement value of spirit, that's the 19th, 16th, 9, 18, 9 and 20, you'll find that's 91 as well. And that is connected to man, because man within him is a spirit. If you take the word man, M-A-N, and we use the normal values, that's 41 plus 50 is 91, because within man is a spirit. So, so we're going to see how the star is connected in a more deeper way as well. So it says that the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the water, and the word for water, excuse me, the word for water in Hebrew, I'm going to rub this off now. The word for water in Hebrew is mayim. And the face of the waters would be the face of the word mayim, which is the mem. And the mem, as it's written in the Torah scroll, this is what we would write in block. But in the Torah scroll, it's written as like two letters connected. Many letters are written like two letters. And the two letters is a yud, sorry, is a kaf and a vov. If I put them together, they look like this and like this. This comes down. So there's a gap at the bottom, and that's how they would use the mem. The mem, it's much more decoratively done than what I've done here, in black, of course. So that would be what the mem is, and it's made up of two letters, a kaf and a vov. And the normal value of a kaf is 20. The normal value of the vov is 6, so it's 26. So we've got a connection to God's name. The Spirit of God is hovering over the face of the water because it connects to water. And there are two verses which I came to my mind. One is in Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 13. It says, "The Lord is the mikvah of Israel." The Lord is the word mikvah is often translated as hope. But mikveh is also a pool of water which Jewish people bathe in to become ritually pure. Women have to go to after their menstruation, and the high priest will go into a mikveh 5 times on the Day of Atonement. So it was a ritual bath. Men also go to the mikveh as well. So a mikveh is a pool of water, and in Genesis, in the second day of creation, so God says he said, let all the waters be gathered together into one place, and let the gathering of waters, the mikveh mayim, again mikveh mayim, be that we call the seas. So the word mikveh can mean sort of gathering of waters. It can also mean hope. In my book here, I do show you the connection between hope and what the hope of Israel really is. We're going to look at now how this letter of one moment. So yes, the final mem of water is like a box, but I show that it's actually connected to the hexagon, which is the fundamental structure of the six-painted star. That is the hexagon. And if you take the final mem, we just going to see where I wrote it down. Besides its shape, we've got the word hexagon. We're going to rub this off now. We're going to use the hexagon. The word the hexagon, that's 33, and this is 74. That gives us 107. And if I take the word in Hebrew for final mem, which is called the mem sophit. And the mem sophit, again, using the final mem to be 24, the alternative value, that's 24 plus 13 is 37. And then we add all this up, this 15, 6, 17, 10, and 22. If I add that all together, I will get 107. So there is this, that's alternative placement value. That's the placement value. So there is a connection between mem sophit, the final mem, and the hexagon. And that is the shape. It's like a square. It could be considered like something enclosed, which is a hexagon. Besides that, we've got in Hebrew Magen David, which is what this star is often called, the Magen David. And in Hebrew it's spelled Mem Gimel Nun, Magen David. And again, we're going to use, actually we're going to use the normal values. So this is just 464, which is 14. And this is 40 plus 3 plus 50, which is 93. Add that together, I get 107, which is the normal value. And that is the same up here. In other words, the final mem represents a hexagon, and the hexagon is also connected to the Magen David, the shield of David, often called. Okay, now I'm going to show you some interesting things. It hasn't been interesting so far. You come to some interesting things. So we're going to look at. I'm going to leave this up for a little bit. The word mayim is written, as we showed you before, mem, yud, mem. And the chemical molecule for mayim is H2O. So there we've got 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. And that seems to tell us that the actual word mayim has the same structure as water, where the mem will represent the hydrogen atom and the yud will represent the oxygen atom. And if we look at the Hebrew for sun, there's 2 words that will be used for sun. One is chama, and there's also shemesh. Shemesh is the sun. And this letter has got a mem in the middle, which is the hydrogen. And the letter shin is connected to Aish. In fact, Aish means fire. So the word Aish is fire, and the shin actually looks like a fire. It looks like, if you see how it's written in the Sefer Torah scroll, it looks like you've got flames coming up here. So you get, not very good, I was never a Sefer. So it's like a flame coming out. So you've got the mem surrounded by fire. The yud as oxygen, in Hebrew the word for soul is neshama. That's the soul. There's actually 5 words for the soul. This neshama is usually what we might call the consciousness and the mind and the brain, our conscious thoughts. The word for breath is neshima. And this is breath. And the difference is, of course, the letter yud. And we've said the letter yud is oxygen, and that gives rise to our breath. That's what we use in breathing. But I thought it was more than that, because to form these crystals in the water, there must be some sort of structure of the water molecule, and if there's two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen, we might think that the oxygen is connected, something like that. So what I did was this. I took this star, which I'm going to rub off now, and draw it again. I thought maybe we could create the structure of the star with these molecules. Actually, this is not in the book. I haven't put this in the book. I don't like that. I'm going to do it again. It's a bit better. So 1, 2, 3. Let's get it better, then it won't. Oops. Wait. Okay. I'll use another colour. So the way I thought the structure would be an oxygen atom in the middle, and the hydrogen atoms around it, and they'll be shared. So remember, it only needs 2. So if the one electron here and the one electron in this hydrogen atom are going around here, then this and this will be going around the oxygen atom near to it. So there'll be a sort of display, but there'll be this structure of oxygen, hydrogen at each level. So, and this will be connected. So the electrons can flow around one atom. They don't have to flow around one atom. They can flow around one atom and then to another atom, and it's much more complex. We talk about electrons being a particle, but it's not even that, called quantum mechanics. So if we look at the water molecule being structured like that, then if we look at the hexagon part, which is the middle section, then we've got 6 hydrogen atoms surrounding an oxygen atom, and that will continue all the way around, because if I was to continue the structure on something like this, so that will come up there, and you'll get this repeat of tessellation of a hexagon all the way along, and then you'd have your oxygen atoms surrounded by hydrogen atoms again, and this will form another centre, and you'll come down here, and you'll get more hydrogen atoms here, and these would surround that oxygen atom, and then you get the same surrounding there, and the same surrounding there. So you always get an oxygen atom in the middle, surrounded by hydrogen atoms around the edge, and there'll be a tessellation of all these hexagons, and from that you can draw bigger and bigger stars of David, 6-pointed stars, which will be bigger. Now, something which perhaps I can mention here, that the stars of David form a series. This one, which I've shown you so far, has 13 points. And if you were to then divide each side up into another point on each side, and then join up together, so everything gets divided into smaller. This I show in my book, this series. And if you then join up all the points together now, you'll find that there will be 37 points. Everything's divided up more. You'll get 37. So the next one in the series is 37. And if you were again, you'll get 37, and you'll get lots and lots of more triangles, because there'll be little ones. And you can keep going. This has been dividing it into 2. If you divide each line, these 3 main parts of where it's sort of doing into 2 parts, you do it into 3, so you get each part divided into 3. You will get 73 points, and it goes on and on and on. If I just show you the picture in my book, you can perhaps see that a little bit more clearer, if I haven't totally confused you. It's on page here. So you can see the top one. In fact, the very first one is 1 dot. Then it goes 13 points, as the ones I've shown you. And then it goes to 37 points. And then it will go to 73. and then it will keep going. You divide it into more and more smaller parts. It goes up to 121, 181, and it keeps going for infinity. So you get bigger and bigger, so you can get many different stars, bigger stars in this. And hence I believe that's how these crystals are based on. So what's interesting, however, if we take the word oxygen, where am I going to do this? We're going to rub the sun out. There's no sun at the moment because it's night time. So we've got oxygen. Now if we find the placement value of oxygen, it's 90. And the placement value for hydrogen is 96. So I've got oxygen and hydrogen. Placement value is 90 and 96. And I've got an oxygen atom surrounded by 6 hydrogen atoms. So if I take 96 and I multiply that by 6, because there's 6 of them, I will get 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 9 is 54, plus 3 is 57. So I've got 576 as the hydrogens. And the oxygen is another 90. That gives me 666. There was a video I saw on YouTube some time ago, which was showing that the Star of David represents the number 666, and it's therefore evil and bad. I'm going to show a slide, a lecture later on the number 666, and we say that no number is evil. The numbers are powers or energies, and just like any form of technology, you can use it for good or for bad, but the actual technology is not necessarily bad. The number itself is a number. It's power, and power can be channeled in a good way, or it can be channeled in a bad way. So we're going to see a more holistic attitude towards this number 666 and how it's shown into the Torah, and it's shown in other places in the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, and I will show also its connection in Revelation. So we have this number 666, and we have a connection to 666, which I'm going to show you. I think I wrote it down somewhere. It's not on here. I might have to wait. It's very clever of me. I haven't actually written it down here. So it's going to wait one moment. I've got a few of my other sheets here which I wanted to have a look at. No, it's not here either. It was to do with the memo, if I remember. So well, I'll have to wait till I deal with the number 666. There is a triangle later on. One of these sets, one of these ones that come up to, I think it's this one. I'm not sure, but I haven't got it here. The connection. I started to write it down, not completed. Never mind. So, but you can see that the actual number 660 is connected to the hexagon, to the water crystal. There was in Masaru Emoto a star which he put 666 on it, and it's not really a star. It comes out rather strange, like a. It's really looks like a hexagon more than a star. I can't see it at the moment, and he sort of calls it. No, it's not it. It is in this book. Recommend you to get this book. It's very, very interesting, and inspiring. So no, I can't find it at the moment. Okay, I'm going to have to leave it there then, because I don't have exactly what that number is connected at the moment. But these numbers here, maybe these two numbers here, 37 and 73, are very, very important numbers. They are connected to the very first verse of the Torah, but that is for another occasion. So I hope you got something out of that. It's a complex subject, and if you're interested in this book, it is on Amazon, and or you can get it from me directly if you email me, and the email below, and I will send you my free catalogue, and I will send you by email it is, and I will send you price lists of the books, and you can buy it direct from me rather than going through Amazon. Thank you for listening. It's been a bit of a long lecture, and I hope to see you again, or hope you will see me again in the near future. Thank you. Bye bye.